This is a picture that I had wanted to use for our estate planning firm a long time ago that I came across recently. Look at the size of the little child's hand on the index finger of the adult there. Strokes are rising among younger adults, with CDC data showing 14.6% increase in ages 18 to 44 from 2020 to 2022. Doctors say they've seen many young stroke patients. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has directed the Navy to rename the ship honoring gay rights icon and pedophile Harvey Milk. Elizabeth Warren says RFK Jr. could drive vaccine manufacturers into bankruptcy, which would leave no one able to get vaccines. Arizona Governor Katie Hobbs has vetoed a bill that would have blocked China from purchasing land near U.S. Army bases. A Chinese national charged with voting illegally at the University of Michigan has fled the United States. Health officials issued a warning after a child with measles visited Mall of America, the world's most contagious disease, found at the nation's largest mall. President Trump said he had a 75-minute phone call with President Putin, who stated very strongly that he will respond to Ukraine's large-scale drone attack. Bill Gates has committed most of his $200 billion fortune to funding health and education initiatives across Africa. A federal judge appointed by Joe Biden has issued an order halting the deportation of family members of man accused in the firebomb attack in Boulder, Colorado. Newly uncovered financial records show that Jeffrey Epstein invested $40 million in two venture funds co-founded by the billionaire Peter Thiel, which have grown since then to nearly $170 million in value. Wow, 40 million, 170, that's a nice return.
Hours in geopolitics. Ukraine's security service detonated underwater devices beneath the Kerch Bridge in Crimea, severely damaging its supports in a coordinated operation that Kyiv says took months to prepare. Dutch Prime Minister Schoof resigned after right-wing Geert Wilders withdrew his party from the ruling coalition, collapsing the Dutch government less than a year after it was formed. At peace talks in Istanbul, Russia presented stringent conditions for ending the war, including Ukraine ceding more territory, restricting its military, and accepting permanent neutrality, terms Kyiv views as unacceptable. Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk announced plans to call a vote of confidence in his government following the presidential election victory of right-wing candidate Karol Nawrocki, which dealt a blow to Tusk's pro-European coalition. Iran has requested detailed guarantees from the United States on how sanctions will be lifted as part of ongoing nuclear negotiations, criticizing Washington for a lack of clarity on mechanisms and implementation. Voter turnout in South Korea's snap presidential election reached 77.8% as citizens chose a successor to former President Yoon Suk-yeol, who was impeached over his declaration.
Putin says John Podesta is wanted dead or alive following Davos Adrenochrome bust. For years, the Kremlin has tracked the rise of the Adrenochrome underworld from an elite, driven black market fueled by terror, ritual, and unthinkable depravity. But last week, everything changed. In the cold heart of Davos, where the global elite gather behind closed doors, undercover Russian operatives launched a high-risk raid, seizing over 11,000 vials of pharmaceutical-grade adrenochrome and uncovering intel that blows the operation wide open. At the center of it, John Podesta, longtime Clinton advisor, spirit cooker, collector of degenerate art, and now wanted dead or alive by the Russian Federation. If you've been following the Q drops, the arrest of John Podesta is the beginning of the fall. Don't say weren't warned. Let's wake up.
Christmas ain't what it used to be. Nothing is. Unless it's me getting older. Things was cheaper though. A lot cheaper. You could get 5 cigarettes for tuppence then.
They don't make them in 5s anymore, do they?
Well, you never see them.
People smoke more, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, people do seem to be smoking more since the cancer scare. Worry, I suppose. There was none of that then either.
What?
Cancer was all TB then.
They can cure that now, can't they?
Yeah. I suppose as soon as they can cure cancer, they'll think of something else to worry us with. My Uncle Wilf used to say he reckoned it was the government.
What?
He used to give us all these diseases.
That's a bit daft, Mum.
Well, they put them in our food. That's what he used to say.
Mum.
You can taste it in the water sometimes.
That's chloride.
Well, there you are.
They put that in to improve the water.
Well, it don't improve the taste. My Uncle Wilf used to say The only time they've got any use for us, the only time the government's got any use for us is in a war. Rest of the time he used to say we're an embarrassment to him. Yeah. He used to say that they only need so many of us to do the things that need doing, and the rest they'd rather be without. So they spray our food, put things in the water to keep us down. Well, they do it to rabbits. He used to grow all his own food.
Everything?
Well, all he could. He only had a window box.
Breaking news, Sharia law. World Economic Forum memo outlines plot to roll out Sharia law and legalize pedophilia in Western nations. That's us, the People's Voice video. A union between child and adult is sacred under Sharia law. With the exception of the rigged presidential election of 2020, the auto pen is the biggest political scandal in American history. Breaking news, the investigation continues. The Supreme Court confirmation of Ms. Jackson is invalid if the auto pen was used. Uh-oh. Wow, how deep does this go? Jill, the 21-year-old married babysitter, and Joe, the senator, are having an affair. Joe's wife discovers in 1972, packs the kids and leaves. She is pursued by Joe and or Jill. Her car is bumped from behind, pushing her headlong into the truck, killing Nalia and the baby Naomi. Joe spent years blaming a drunk truck driver for his wife and daughter's death. Jill's ex claims they married in 1970. Jill and Joe claim they met on a blind date in 1975 and married in 1977. There are multiple cover stories, including her ex-husband coming out claiming Jill and Joe had an affair, but dating it to after Natalia died. Taxpayers spend $2 billion a year on Congress. I think we have the most expensive Congress, expensive government on the face of the planet. American taxpayers spend $2 billion per year on Congress. Salaries, $174,000. However, they get $7.6 million per year for meal reimbursements. Their MRA, the members' representational allowance, is $810 million. Majority and minority leadership, Hakeem Jeffries and Mike Johnson, gets $37 million just for them. MRA broken down is $1.5 million to each Congress representative. That's on top, of course, $174,000 salary. They get on health care and all that kind of stuff. Actual budget can range around $2 million per member, though their MRA, the members' representational allowance, is $810 million. Majority leadership, let's see, Congress heading for 18. Oh, look at this. U.S. Congress is getting 18 weeks of vacation this year, $750 million for House expenses, and $250 million for Senate expenses. Guess that's what you get if you vote. Well, folks, to offend the strong man, tell him a lie. To offend the weak man, tell him the truth. The silver conversation we're having here, folks, is there's not much of it left. And now with the futures pricing happening over there on the Shanghai Futures Exchange, if you're going to be pricing futures over there, you have to settle your trade in 3 days. So not just a matter of creating a digits on a keyboard anymore. They now have a challenger as far as COMEX and LBMA is concerned. Now, nobody knows the exact date and time, but I'm telling you the trend is up, and we're seeing that right now. The brave new world ahead of us, folks. Watch what happens.